The Galactic Council's headquarters on Centauri Prime had never witnessed such an audacious display of defiance. Ambassador James Morrison stood before the assembled alien representatives, his weathered face betraying no emotion as the Zyraxian delegation hurled accusations across the chamber. The massive crystalline dome above them pulsed with waves of agitated crimson, reflecting the mounting tension below. "These humans," High Commander Vexther of the Zyraxian Empire spat, his iridescent scales flickering with contempt, "have violated sovereign space around Europa. They must be taught their place in the galactic order." The seven-limbed alien's bioluminescent markings flashed aggressively as he addressed the council. Morrison couldn't help but smile slightly. It was the kind of smile that had made 3 different species develop new threat assessment protocols. "Interesting," he said, his voice carrying easily through the chamber. "Perhaps the High Commander would care to explain why a Zyraxian battlecruiser was conducting peaceful observations with active weapons systems within range of our Europa research station." The chamber erupted in murmurs. Ambassador Nyxis, a crystalline being representing the ancient collective, shifted uncomfortably in her energy containment field. "The Council requires clarification on these allegations." Morrison activated his holopad, and the chamber's central display came alive with high-resolution footage. It showed a massive Zyraxian vessel, its characteristic obsidian hull gleaming against Jupiter's massive form, maneuvering suspiciously close to Europa's orbit. More importantly, it showed the ship's weapon systems cycling through activation sequences. "Our Europa defense grid recorded this footage 72 hours ago," Morrison explained calmly. "The Zyraxian vessel refused to respond to 17 separate hails. They assumed, quite incorrectly, that a human outpost on an icy moon would be defenseless." High Commander Vexther's scales rippled with rage. "You dare accuse the Empire of—" "I dare nothing," Morrison interrupted, his voice taking on an edge that made several council members flinch. "I merely present facts, facts that include this." He tapped his holopad again and new footage appeared. The council chamber fell silent as they watched the Europa defense grid spring to life. Hidden weapon platforms emerged from the ice, their design unlike anything the galactic community had seen before. The Zyraxian battlecruiser, caught completely off guard, attempted to raise its shields, too late. A concentrated burst of energy from the defense grid disabled its primary systems, leaving the mighty vessel dead in space. "Impossible," Vexther roared. "Such technology is beyond human capabilities." Morrison's smile widened fractionally. "High Commander, I would suggest reviewing your intelligence reports. Humanity has learned much since joining the galactic community. We've also learned to prepare for misunderstandings." Ambassador Nyxis's crystalline form chimed softly, her species equivalent of clearing their throat. "The Council notes that human defensive capabilities appear to have been understated in previous assessments." "A common mistake," Morrison acknowledged. "One that the Zyraxian Empire has now made twice. The first time we disabled their ship and provided emergency assistance to their crew. This time—" He let the sentence hang in the air. The tension in the chamber was palpable. Everyone present understood the unspoken message. There wouldn't be a third time. "The Council must deliberate on this matter," the senior arbiter announced, their gaseous forms swirling anxiously. Morrison nodded respectfully. "Of course, Earth awaits your decision, though I should mention any further unauthorized approaches to our solar system's installations will be met with increasingly less diplomatic responses." As he turned to leave the chamber, Morrison caught sight of his reflection in the crystalline walls. Behind him, the assembled representatives of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations were beginning to understand a crucial truth. Humanity hadn't just joined the galactic community, they had prepared for it. The Zyraxians had learned the hard way that humans didn't build outposts, they built fortresses. They didn't make idle threats, they made calculations. And most importantly, they didn't just hope for peace, they ensured it through strength. As Morrison walked through the Council's corridors, his communication implant chimed softly. Admiral Helena Blackwood's voice came through, clear and confident. "Europa Defense Command confirms, sir. The Zyraxian fleet has withdrawn beyond the Kuiper Belt. Shall we proceed with Phase 2? Morrison's smile returned, this time with a predatory edge. "Indeed, Admiral. Let's show them why Earth's diplomatic corps requires military training." The games were just beginning, and humanity was playing for keeps. Admiral Helena Blackwood stood in the command center of Olympus Station, Earth's supposedly civilian space monitoring facility in high orbit. The vast holographic display before her showed hundreds of red dots representing Zyraxian ships moving through the outer reaches of the solar system. Each vessel believed they were completely hidden by their advanced cloaking technology. "They never learn, do they?" Captain Marcus Reeves commented, his dark eyes fixed on the tactical display. The station's quantum detection grid had been tracking the Zyraxian fleet since they entered the Uit cloud, though the aliens remained blissfully unaware of this fact. "That's the problem with being a technological apex predator for too long," Helena replied, adjusting the neural interface at her temple. "You forget that evolution works in mysterious ways." She gestured, and the holographic display zoomed in on a particular cluster of ships. "Status of Defense Platform Sigma. Online and undetected, Admiral," Lieutenant Olivia Chen reported from her station. "All 23 platforms are maintaining shadow protocol. The Zyraxians still think they're scanning empty space." The truth was deliciously ironic. While the galactic community had been watching humanity's obvious technological advancement with mild amusement, they'd missed the real story. Earth hadn't just been building ships and stations. They'd been revolutionizing the very nature of space warfare. A soft chime indicated an incoming transmission from Mars Command. General Viktor Petrov's weathered face appeared on a secondary screen. "Admiral, our ground teams report the Zyraxian infiltration units have taken the bait. They're currently attempting to access what they believe is our primary defense mainframe." Helena allowed herself a small smile. "And our actual systems?" "Completely secure," Viktor confirmed, his Russian accent thick with amusement. "They're so busy trying to crack our dummy networks that they haven't noticed the quantum entanglement signatures right under their noses. Speaking of which," he paused, checking something off-screen. "Their latest attempt to breach the Europa defense grid just triggered Protocol Omega." The command center fell silent. Protocol Omega was perhaps humanity's most elegant defense mechanism, a system that turned an enemy's own technology against them. Even now, the Zyraxian attempts to hack Earth's defenses were unwittingly transmitting their own military secrets back to human intelligence networks. "Admiral," Olivia called out, her voice tight with controlled excitement. "We're detecting massive energy signatures from the Zyraxian fleet. They appear to be preparing for a full-spectrum scan of the solar system." Helena nodded. "Right on schedule. Captain Reeves, initiate Phase 2. Let's show them what they're actually dealing with." Marcus's fingers danced across his console. Throughout the solar system, carefully hidden defense platforms began to shift. Not the obvious ones that everyone knew about, these were different. These platforms existed in a state of quantum superposition, technically present everywhere and nowhere until observed. As the Zyraxian scan swept through space, they would find nothing. But the moment they powered up their weapons. "Zyraxian fleet is launching their scan," Olivia reported. "Impact in 3, 2, 1. The holographic display erupted with new information as the alien scan passed harmlessly through human space. The Zyraxians, their confidence bolstered by finding nothing but the expected human defenses, began moving their fleet into attack formation. "They're deploying exactly as the psychological models predicted," Marcus noted. "Overconfident, aggressive, and completely unaware." Helena activated her neural link to the station's AI. "Initialize Quantum Defense Grid Alpha through Omega. Authorization, Blackwood 7 Delta 9. Throughout the solar system, reality itself seemed to shiver. The Zyraxian fleet suddenly found themselves surrounded by defense platforms that, according to their sensors, had simply materialized from nowhere. Each platform was a masterpiece of human innovation, combining technologies that the galactic community had dismissed as theoretically impossible. "Message from Ambassador Morrison, Admiral," Olivia announced. "The Galactic Council is in emergency session. Apparently, several member species are demanding explanations about our hidden military capabilities." Helena's smile grew slightly. "Send them my regards and remind them that Earth signed no treaties limiting our defensive innovations. We merely chose not to advertise them." The command center's mood was focused but triumphant. Humanity had just revealed that they weren't just participants in the galactic community, they were revolutionaries. While other species had been perfecting existing technologies, humans had been completely reimagining what was possible. Admiral, Marcus called out, his voice carrying a note of satisfaction. The Zyraxian fleet is beginning to withdraw. Their communications indicate. Well, they're using terms that don't translate well, but utterly terrified seems to capture the general sentiment. Helena nodded, watching the red dots retreat on the tactical display. Send a message to all human outposts and colonies. Security Protocol Echo is now in effect. She turned to face her crew, her expression serious despite their victory. The galaxy just learned that humanity doesn't just adapt to new technologies, we transform them. Let's make sure they don't forget that lesson. As the Zyraxian fleet fled back to their territory, the quantum defense platforms shifted back into their hidden state, invisible but ever-present. Humanity had just changed the rules of galactic warfare, and they hadn't fired a single shot. Sometimes, Helena reflected, the most powerful weapon wasn't the one you fired. It was the one that made your enemies realize they never had a chance to begin with. The emergency session of the Galactic Council stretched into its fourth hour. The usually pristine chamber had devolved into chaos as species from across the galaxy demanded answers about humanity's sudden display of technological superiority. The chamber's mood-responsive walls had given up trying to match the collective emotional state and now simply pulsed with random colors. Ambassador James Morrison sat calmly at the human delegation station, watching the pandemonium with practiced patience. Beside him, his diplomatic aide, Dr. Kai Patel, was methodically organizing data streams on his quantum tablet. They had prepared for this moment for years. Order, we will have order. The Council's chief arbiter, a gaseous being named Xylvax, expanded their form to fill the upper portion of the chamber. The gesture, traditionally used to command attention, finally brought the chaos under control. The delegation from the Zyraxian Empire has filed a formal protest, Xylvax announced, their vaporous form condensing back to normal size. They claim that humanity has violated the technology sharing accords of the Galactic Charter. Morrison stood, straightening his charcoal diplomatic uniform. With respect, Chief Arbiter, I must correct that assertion. He gestured, and holographic text appeared in the center of the chamber, displaying various treaty sections. The technology sharing accords specifically require the disclosure of weapons of mass destruction and planet-killing capabilities. Earth has developed neither. High Commander Vexther's scales rippled with fury. Your quantum defense platforms are purely defensive systems, Morrison interrupted smoothly. They cannot be used to attack, they cannot destroy planets, they cannot even cause permanent damage to ships. They simply deny access to those with hostile intent. Ambassador Nyxus's crystalline form sparkled with what might have been amusement. The human diplomat speaks truth. We have reviewed the technical specifications they provided. Their innovations are remarkable precisely because they prioritize defense over destruction. Dr. Patel leaned forward slightly. If I may, Chief Arbiter, at the gaseous being's acknowledgement, he continued. Earth has submitted all required documentation regarding our technological developments. The fact that certain species failed to understand the implications of our quantum research is not a violation of any treaty. The chamber erupted again, but this time with a different tone. Several species were beginning to realize the full implications of what humanity had done. They hadn't just developed new weapons. They had fundamentally changed the nature of space warfare by making it nearly impossible to successfully attack Earth-controlled space. The collective of ancient races requests clarification, a new voice called out. Ambassador Genta, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline matrix, floated forward. How long has humanity possessed these capabilities? Morrison smiled diplomatically. We have been developing these technologies since before we joined the galactic community. As required by law, all our research was properly documented and filed with the Council's science directory. Impossible, Vexther snarled. We have monitored all human research facilities. All the obvious ones, certainly, Morrison agreed. But as I recall, when Earth joined the Council, we specifically negotiated for the right to maintain private research facilities. Article 47, Section 12 of the Membership Agreement. He paused, allowing his words to sink in. The same article that several members, including the Zyraxian Empire, insisted on keeping when they believed it would give them an advantage over newer species. The chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. Humanity hadn't broken any rules. They had simply used the existing ones better than anyone expected. They had taken the very provisions that older species had created to maintain their advantage and turned them into a shield for Earth's own advancement. Ambassador Nixis chimed softly. The Council recognizes that humanity has operated within the bounds of galactic law. However, the sudden revelation of such advanced defensive capabilities raises concerns. Morrison nodded sympathetically. We understand those concerns. That is why we are prepared to offer limited technology sharing agreements, defensive systems only, to any species that formally recognizes Earth's sovereignty and agrees to our non-aggression protocols. The chamber erupted once again, but this time with intense discussion rather than accusations. Earth wasn't just defending itself, it was reshaping the galactic power structure. By offering defensive technologies, they were creating potential allies while simultaneously making it clear that aggressive action against human space was futile. Dr. Patel's quantum tablet chimed softly. Ambassador, he whispered, Admiral Blackwood reports that 17 species have already submitted preliminary requests for technology sharing negotiations. Morrison kept his expression neutral, but inside he felt a surge of satisfaction. The diplomatic phase was proceeding exactly as planned. Humanity had demonstrated its strength, revealed its innovations, and was now offering partnership instead of threatening domination. Chief Arbiter, Morrison addressed the gaseous being, Earth moves to establish a new Council subcommittee for defensive technology sharing and cooperative security development. We believe this would provide a structured framework for addressing the concerns raised today. As the Council began debating this proposal, Morrison exchanged a knowing look with Dr. Patel. The galaxy was learning that humans didn't just prepare for war, they prepared for peace. But it would be peace on human terms, protected by human innovations, and guided by human values. The game of galactic politics was changing, and humanity had just revealed they had been grandmasters all along. Deep within the quantum-shielded chambers of Earth's Strategic Command, Fleet Commander Diana Rodriguez watched as Operation Shadow Web unfolded across a dozen holographic displays. The Zyraxian Empire, unwilling to accept their diplomatic defeat, had secretly activated their sleeper agents throughout human space. They had expected to find Earth's defenses vulnerable from within. Instead, they had walked straight into a trap decades in the making. Status report, Rodriguez commanded, her augmented eyes scanning multiple data streams simultaneously. Intelligence Director Nathan Frost stepped forward, his dark skin contrasting with the silver neural interface along his temple. Shadow Protocol is proceeding as designed, Commander. The Zyraxian agents are attempting to access what they believe are our critical systems. And our actual systems? Rodriguez asked, though she already knew the answer. Frost allowed himself a rare smile. Completely secure. Each attempted intrusion is feeding us more intelligence about Zyraxian operations than they've managed to gather about us in the past 50 years. The massive strategic display showed thousands of points of light representing human settlements and installations across dozens of star systems. Red markers indicated detected Zyraxian agents, all of them now unwittingly serving human intelligence purposes. Director Frost, a synthetic voice announced, Project Oracle has completed its analysis of the acquired Zyraxian tactical databases. Proceed, Arya, Frost responded to the AI. A new hologram materialized, showing complex networks of Zyraxian military and political connections. The Empire's command structure is exactly as our behavioral models predicted, Arya reported. They are preparing for what they believe will be a surprise offensive against Earth's outer colonies. Rodriguez exchanged knowing looks with Frost. Time to proceed to Phase 3, notify Ambassador Morrison. In the Galactic Council chamber, Morrison received the update through his secure quantum link, just as High Commander Vexther was finishing another blustering speech about Zyraxian military superiority. If I may interrupt, Morrison said, his voice cutting through the chamber like a blade. I believe the Council should be aware of some developing situations. With a gesture, he activated a holographic display showing detailed evidence of Zyraxian espionage operations. These are current feeds from numerous locations across human space, Morrison explained calmly. They show Zyraxian agents attempting to infiltrate our systems. We have been tracking them since before they were activated. The council chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. Vexther's scales turned a sickly pale color. But more interesting, Morrison continued, is what we learned from their attempts. New data streamed across the display, showing Zyraxian military deployments, secret bases, and classified weapons projects. It seems the Empire has been violating several major council treaties. The evidence has already been transmitted to the Security Committee. Back in Strategic Command, Rodriguez watched the council feed with satisfaction. Arya, initiate final phase of Shadow Protocol. Throughout human space, quantum defense platforms shifted to new configurations. Hidden sensors activated. Dormant defense systems came online. But most importantly, the trap closed around every Zyraxian ship that had been shadowing human installations. Multiple Zyraxian vessels detected powering up weapons, an operator announced. They're attempting to... And now they're not, Frost interrupted as the quantum defense grid activated. Every Zyraxian ship suddenly found itself trapped in a localized field that made any aggressive action impossible. Rodriguez opened a channel to all detected Zyraxian vessels. This is Fleet Commander Rodriguez of Earth Strategic Command. Your ships are currently contained within our defensive grid. We have transmitted evidence of your treaty violations to the Galactic Council. We suggest you power down your weapons and await further instructions. In the council chamber, Morrison was delivering the final stroke. Earth formally charges the Zyraxian Empire with multiple violations of council law. We request an immediate security session to address these breaches. The council's chief arbiter, witnessing the overwhelming evidence, had no choice. Emergency session granted. The Zyraxian Empire will answer these charges. As chaos erupted in the chamber, Morrison sent a brief message to Rodriguez. Shadow Protocol complete. The board is set. Rodriguez looked out at the strategic display, now showing hundreds of contained Zyraxian ships. Humanity had just demonstrated that they hadn't simply developed better defenses, they had revolutionized the entire concept of spatial warfare. Victory without destruction, control without combat, power through preparation. Director Frost, she called out, prepare a full diplomatic package for the Council. Show them exactly what trying to infiltrate human space has cost the Zyraxian Empire. Already done, Frost replied. Though I suspect the real cost will be to their reputation. The galaxy is about to learn that humanity doesn't just react to threats, we prepare for them before they even materialize. As the strategic display updated with new information streams, Rodriguez reflected on how far humanity had come. They had entered the galactic stage appearing naive and untested, but that had been part of the plan. While others saw them as newcomers to be manipulated, humans had been laying the groundwork for true security. The Shadow Protocol wasn't just a defensive strategy, it was a statement. Humanity had just shown the galaxy that they didn't need massive fleets or planet-killing weapons. They had something far more powerful, the ability to think ahead, prepare for every contingency, and turn their enemies' own actions against them. The game was changing, and humanity had just revealed they had been the ones writing the rules all along. 1 month after the Zyraxian incident, the Galactic Council's Grand Chamber was transformed. Where once stood rows of adversarial delegation pods, now curved tables formed a collaborative circle. At the center of this new arrangement, Ambassador James Morrison stood beside Chief Arbiter Xylvax, preparing to address the assembled representatives of over 300 species. The Cooperative Defense Initiative, Morrison began, his voice carrying across the chamber, represents more than just a technology sharing program. It represents a fundamental shift in how we approach galactic security. The holographic display above showed the first successful test of shared quantum defense technology. A Centaurian research station, protected by human defensive systems, easily deflected an asteroid that would have previously threatened its existence. In Earth Strategic Command, Fleet Commander Rodriguez and her team watched the Council proceedings while monitoring the ongoing integration of human defense systems across Allied space. Director Frost's latest report showed that 57 species had already signed the new defense treaties. The Zyraxian Empire's attempted aggression, Morrison continued, taught us all a valuable lesson. The old paradigm of military supremacy through destructive capability is obsolete. True security comes from defensive innovation and cooperation. The fallen empire's representatives sat quietly in their newly assigned seats, their once bright scales now a subdued gray. The exposure of their violations had led to significant internal reforms and the installation of a more moderate government. Ambassador Nyxis floated forward, her crystalline form gleaming. The ancient collective wishes to formally acknowledge humanity's contribution to galactic peace. Their approach to defense has revolutionized our understanding of what is possible. In orbit around Earth, Dr. Kai Patel was conducting a tour of the new Interspecies Defense Academy. Representatives from dozens of worlds watched in awe as human instructors demonstrated the principles behind their quantum defense systems. The key, Patel explained to his diverse audience, was changing how we think about space warfare. Instead of building bigger weapons, we focused on making conflict itself impossible within protected zones. Back in the council chamber, Morrison activated a new holographic display showing the spreading network of quantum defense grids. Every species that joins the initiative gains not just protection, but a voice in how we evolve these systems. This is not about human dominance, it's about collective security. The chamber's mood-responsive walls glowed with a deep blue of contemplation and hope. The galaxy was changing, and for once, it was changing toward peace rather than escalating conflict. At strategic command, Aria's synthetic voice announced, "New application for initiative membership received from the Drachnid Confederation." Rodriguez nodded, remembering how the Drachnids had once been among the most militant species in known space. "Times really are changing," she mused. "They're adapting," Frost replied, studying the latest intelligence reports. "The galaxy is realizing that humanity's approach to defense makes traditional military posturing obsolete. Why waste resources on weapons when you can make your space literally invulnerable to attack?" In the council chamber, Morrison was concluding his address. "Earth extends an open invitation to all species who wish to join the initiative. Our technology, our innovations, our methods, all will be shared with those who commit to the principles of defensive cooperation." Chief Arbiter Xylvax expanded their gaseous form in the traditional gesture of formal approval. "The Council recognizes this historic moment. The age of military brinksmanship is ending. A new era of cooperative defense begins." As applause in various forms, from crystalline chiming to telepathic approval, filled the chamber, Morrison sent a private message to Rodriguez. "Phase 5 complete. Operation Guardian Angel is now fully operational." Rodriguez looked out at the strategic display, now showing hundreds of worlds protected by human-designed defense systems. Each point of light represented not just a secured location, but a step toward a more stable galaxy. "You know," Frost said quietly, "when we first joined the galactic community, everyone thought we were naive newcomers who'd have to learn the hard way about interstellar politics. Instead," Rodriguez finished, "they learned the hard way about us." Throughout human space, quantum defense platforms continued their silent vigil, now joined by similar systems protecting alien worlds. Humanity had transformed from a seemingly vulnerable newcomer to the architect of a new galactic order, not through conquest or intimidation, but by making peace more advantageous than war. The Council had indeed learned why you don't anger humans, not because humans would destroy you, but because they would completely change the rules of the game. They hadn't just won the conflict, they had made traditional conflict itself obsolete. And that, perhaps, was humanity's greatest victory of all.